It's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, this is Ivy Slater. Welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. So I have an amazing woman to introduce you today. Deska is the president of a nonprofit sector strategies, commonly known as NSS. It's a public benefit corporation she co-founded in 2017. NSS provides strategic planning and board management services to small and medium-sized nonprofits. What is really fascinating is NSS has created a Bells board, which is a board management cloud-based software solutions portal and mobile app that helps nonprofit boards increase efficiency, engagement at an affordable price point. Ladies, gentlemen, you know why I leaned in to talk to Christine today, because this is a game changer out there. Christine, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
So tell me a little bit about NSS and how this came about when you founded it in 2017.
Sure. It's actually a funny story. As many businesses start out in interesting ways, I was the director of programs at a foundation in Manhattan called the Columbus Citizens Foundation. And after a couple of years, I knew I wanted more of a challenge. I wanted to work with more nonprofits than just being in one. And it was a really rewarding environment in that I could connect to my Italian American background. It was actually a foundation made up of very successful Italian Americans. And so one of my lead volunteers, who I was managing at the time, his name is Frank Orzo, and he is now my business partner. We met. I told him I was headed out the door. I wanted to do consulting work, and he had sold a business in 2014 and said, let's do this together. His background is in software, sales, technology, and we set out to serve nonprofits. And we started with strategic planning because that was kind of my core competency, and with traditional consulting work. And early on, after interviewing a bunch of executive directors, this pain point kept coming up about board management and board engagement. And so, long story short, my partner and I kind of surveyed the market and realized that there wasn't really a product out there serving small and medium-sized nonprofits. And so shortly thereafter, with a lot of coding and a lot of testing, Bell's Board was born. And that was around the same time as my daughter, Annabelle. So that's where the name comes from, Bell's Board. Yep.
Oh, I love that. I never knew that in the time we've known each other. So it's a technology platform that helps boards engage, communicate, so things don't get lost in the shuffle. Because, in the work we have done in nonprofits and being part of nonprofits myself for years, email and running a business, or having an active career and active life, there's a lot of influx coming at you. Information you're supposed to read through, look at, make decisions on, give input on. So is this a way to streamline this and manage that? Because, hey, that's intriguing.
Yes, 1000%, right? We really want nonprofits to save time and be more efficient and therefore save resources. So Bell's Board, just like a healthcare portal would be used or an education portal, Bell's Board is your organization's governance portal. So not only a secure document repository, but all communication can run through Bell's Board. E-signature for your annual compliance requirements can go through Bell's Board. So it's really meant to just, as you said, streamline your governance activities. And nonprofits have a lot of pressure on them with regard to compliance issues, and board members interact sporadically, right? Board members are very busy, typically influential, high-level people who are doing their part to give back, and often don't realize how much they've taken on when they say, sure, I'll be on your board. That's a whole other conversation that we talk about when it comes to board development.
True.
Right? Sure, I want to be a part of this mission. I mean, who wouldn't? Nonprofits are doing incredible work everywhere we turn. But what that means for the administration is it's like running any other business, right? What are all these requirements? How can we keep everything in one place? How can we not have 1,000 emails flying around every time we need something signed or we need a budget approved for something? And so Bell's Board helps meet all of those needs. And so not only is it a cloud-based solution, but it's also a mobile app for iPhone and Android. And so as board members become younger, and more younger people now are looking for kind of that corporate social responsibility piece of their work and their life, they are now interested in board service. And what does that mean? And so the mobile app has been really attractive to especially the younger folks, but not surprisingly, really, because even my parents are scanning checks and not even going to the bank anymore, right? Because it's all on our smartphones.
Amazing.
Now you can review your board minutes on your smartphone.
So where do you see, technology is fast advancing? And I know you started using, because of yours and Frank's background in nonprofits, you're making a massive impact in nonprofits, but you're also expanding on this. What direction are you seeing this of service to?
It's really interesting how many types of organizations have boards to manage with the very similar challenges to overcome. And so some of the areas we're seeing really quick growth would be in the country club market, the 501c7 nonprofits.
That's interesting.
Right, because often they have many, many active committees, golf, the grounds committee, all of these things. And so there's been a huge need there, and we're forging some really interesting partnerships in that arena. And some also do social mission work, which is really where my heart was in starting this product to help nonprofits really, become more organized and more efficient. And so the country club market is one, and the private clubs associated with it, as well as an interesting groups like industrial development associations, kind of commercial real estate groups that have boards and lots of documents to manage and lots of meetings. And so it's all of kind of these core components to keep us all organized when our lives are really busy, and board members are meeting once or twice a month, or excuse me, I would say once a month or once every other month. And so it's difficult to kind of stay engaged and have to sort through a million emails when you could just go to your app or go to your cloud and know exactly what's coming up and how to prepare.
So you open this conversation saying how busy we all are. Which is so true. And you're involved in so much. I know we both network together. You run a business. You're a single mom with 2 young kids. Your little one has a talent show today, and you're still hopping on, running, doing a podcast interview, doing business development and business implementation. How do you, as a working woman, manage that all?
Well, thank you for the question. I know probably everyone listening can relate to this. I feel very grateful to be able to manage my schedule as I need to in having this business. I can get to my daughter's 4 p.m. talent show today because I will work around it. I accidentally volunteered for field day tomorrow morning, so I will miss a networking meeting, because I don't want my daughter to be disappointed I'm not at field day. But I can make those choices and kind of catch up when I need to. I would say there's no perfect way to balance it all. I'm lucky to have a co-parent only 10 blocks away who I can kind of coordinate with now. That was a journey, but we're getting to a good place in that journey. And so it's just a matter of, I think, adapting over time. I think I mentioned to you, we're onboarding a new team member today. So there's that ebb and flow of growth, and just being grateful to have the opportunity to grow the team. And find good partners. So I think it's kind of puzzle that we're always trying to put together.
I think that is a key of finding good partners, good support in all areas. Great people who are supporting you in your business, building a great team in your business, and building a great team in your home life. That really makes a long-term impact.
Yeah, some of the stuff we make time for in our business, which is really important to us, is educating the nonprofit sector and sharing resources. And I think that's probably how we initially met. Yeah. So we do things like once a month, partner with Tommy DeMisa and Philanthropy in Focus, and host a monthly roundtable where we bring an issue expert to the table and invite our nonprofit family, to learn, as we all are lifelong learners, right? We're part of the Queen's Chamber, and I'm the co-chair of the nonprofit committee because it's a wonderful network of nonprofits. The Nonprofit Resource Hub, I have to plug. I'm the president of that trade association because it's fantastic. And it's a great way to not only drive business to fantastic associate members, but also just network and bring people together and share resources. That's our whole mission. So, to your point, there's never enough time in the day. There's never enough sleep, but we catch up when we can, and we're doing what we love. So, I couldn't be more grateful.
What is your vision for the future of this organization, for NSS?
Well, we are really focused on scaling the product. So reaching a lot of different aspects of the nonprofit market, I would say. So for example, there's a huge opportunity in the faith-based community to grow. There's a huge opportunity among disaster relief organizations to grow. Like, we have barely scratched the surface of the nonprofit space because it is so massive. I mean, you think about education, when you think about synagogues, when you think about, it just goes on and on. So we're just really trying to crack the code on a variety of parts of the nonprofit space that we can have an impact on. And then on the other hand, really keeping our consulting business going strong as well, staying busy with strategic planning and board development, because those two aspects of our work keep our finger on the pulse of what boards really need and what nonprofit leaders are talking about, and really developing substantial relationships in our community, which then just feeds back into making the product better.
So, a question that I didn't even pre-screen with you, but I really want to ask, partnerships, having a partner in a business. Yes. What are some of the pros and cons you've seen of this? Like, so we have tips. I know I have had partners on or off in different businesses, my printing companies. There's things that work, there's things that don't. So what do you look for, and what has worked well with you and Frank?
Sure, that's a great question. I was really nervous going into this because, of course, you talk to a lawyer, they tell you a million things that could go wrong.
Right. They have you doing the divorce before you merge.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing.
Which is not a bad thing.
Highly recommend prenups, everybody. Yeah, so I got very lucky with my partner. I have to say, I could not have met a better person, a human being, right, with my partner. We often have differing viewpoints. We're from different generations as well, so it's actually a really good discourse to have. And he is really the target board member, quintessential kind of board member, who is a great tester for everything and how it's interpreted. So we have a really great dynamic and have been able to be in alignment in terms of growth and pace, making it through COVID together. During the past 6 years we've been in business or so, I've had my 2 daughters. I have gone through a 3-year divorce. We have forged busy few years, to say the least. So we're just grateful we've been in alignment with the growth and have seen organic growth, because initially when you launch something, especially, we're selling a monthly subscription product, you've got to have your beta testers, you've got to have your first movers, you've got to have people to spread the word about what you're doing. And that takes time. You don't really want to rush those initial relationships. And so we've, for better or worse, have kind of had to take it slow in the beginning because of all those life, and COVID, the pandemic, it really threw nonprofits for a loop in so many ways. So we're just grateful all of our customers have stayed with us, because I think that speaks to our affordable price point. We really don't take much from a nonprofit's budget. All of our offerings are under $200 a month. So it's really fair.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's an amazing value for this marketplace and what they're getting from what I've seen. That is very impressive. Just had to say that.
Yeah, well, we saw, organizations being charged more than double when we initially started, and now some other products are coming out to nonprofits with more fair offerings like us. But we're happy to be in that pool. We feel like we're providing a really good service.
So what has surprised you? One of my basic questions, but it's always an interesting how what people share. What has surprised you from this journey of starting this business?
I would say that projections are lies. I did learn that in business school, but it has been confirmed through the business journey. And what I mean is, it tends to take longer to do things than you initially might kind of map out, or you can add a little bit to the expenses that you project, when building out a new version of your product, for example. So I guess that's not necessarily a surprise. I would say a really good surprise has been just how familial our relationships are with our consulting clients, and even many of our Bell's Board clients who've been with us from the beginning. It's really, like true close family members at this point, to be able to reach out, rely on one another, and have these really long-term relationships. I thought that maybe after strategic planning, it's usually a 4 to 8 month kind of core process. Okay, and then project wraps up, we get good guidance, but most of our relationships have gone on well beyond that, just in a support context, an advisor context, and that has been really, really rewarding on many levels.
I love that. Christine, how can our listeners learn more about you, NSS, and Bellsport?
Oh, great question. Thank you. Our website is bellsboard.com. It's BELLESBOARD.com. And pretty much everything you need is on our site, links to our Facebook, our LinkedIn, our Instagram, all the good things. Yes, definitely reach out if you're a nonprofit or another group who's thinking about how to streamline governance practices. It's at the core of what we do.
Love it. Thank you for joining me here today, Christine.
Thank you so much for having me.
And listeners, take a moment and ask yourself, I'll rephrase this, take a moment and ask yourself, what was impactful for you in today's conversation? What is your takeaway? Take it in, write it down, feel free to put it right in the show notes if it's helpful to you, and make a decision on what action you're going to take from listening. We love our listeners and appreciate you joining in us on her success story. And when something's pertinent, we want to be here to support you. See you next time as we continue with more interviews and some content episodes.
Don't need your approval anymore, 'cause I've got mine.